Hello again, and welcome to Chat, Grapple, and Cheap Pops with myself, JB, and my good friend Chris Dredd.
Yo, what's happening?
Firstly, we want to thank everyone that watched, subscribed, you know, listened, had fun, laughed along. Even if you didn't like it, we're just glad everyone watched it and had fun with it. It
100%.
was a little, definitely overwhelming the response that we've had for our first episode,
Thanks,
and
everyone. No, honestly, it's been great. Everyone that I've spoken to that listened to it, wrestling fans, have said that they really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, definitely happy with that, and we're gonna smack number two out the park now as well.
that's it. Number two. Um, this one is a fun one, and it represents a lot of what we enjoy most, which is early 90s WCW.
Yeah, baby.
Beach Blast 93. It's a, it's a bit of a crossroads for WCW at the time. Not necessarily winning any wars, you know, just changing their executive producer, starting over. And you can tell at times that they are starting over, trying to make things fresh, trying to keep things new. But I like this event. It has its moments.
Has
Chris,
its
you enjoy?
I enjoyed it massively. There's one match that really stood out for me that I really enjoyed. But I mean, yeah, I'm a fan of this era of WCW. It was definitely a transition period. They're trying to kind of step away from the older style, and trying to refresh it. Like you say, they were trying to bring some new bits and bobs in, some new talent. Um, yeah, really enjoyed the event. But like I say, there is one match that just stood out for me. But yeah, we'll get to that, and I shall let you know when it is that we talk about that match.
Uh, we're gonna set a small scene. It's July 18th, 1993. It's again, bit of a weird time for WCW. Ric Flair is back. He has only had on television one match at the Clash of the Champions. He, returned after leaving the WWF. Had a couple of runs as champion. Did really well. It was a bit of a boost for WCW at the time, and it's a big night.
Definitely a big night.
Um, I watched the network version, which is it's tended to be a bit of a thing. We're going to start it. It seems like it's going to be the way we do things.
And I've got a bone to pick with Turner. Okay, I've got a massive bone to pick with Turner. Right, this is the VHS, as you can see. Right, Turner Home Video. Right, Turner Home Entertainment. You've screwed me, dude. You screwed me. I know Brett screwed Brett, but Turner screwed Chris Dredd, right? Because, dude, JB, how long was your Beach Blast 93 on the network, fam?
On the network is 2 hours and 50 minutes long.
2 hours and 50 minutes, yeah? A whole hour more than what I got on this VHS. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, approximately 118 minutes, right? So, bro, tell them what Turner screwed me out of, please, on this. And obviously, I'll watch the network version, but this is what we're doing. It is becoming a bit of a theme. Um, I'll watch the VHS version. Jordan will probably watch the network version, and we will compare. And today I'm not happy. All right, Turner, you goddamn son of a bitch! You screwed me, goddamn
Uncle
it!
Ted has let you down.
He's let me down massively. I feel screwed, man. Screwed.
So I'm going to have to start us off because it's network version, and Eric Bischoff and Missy Hyatt open the show. We're in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Indeed.
It doesn't sound like a big town. It doesn't have that big town feel like it would, like especially WCW, like a Carolina or an Atlanta or something like that. But it's what it is.
Yep. Yep.
We're not going to get mad about that. Um, why is Tony Schiavone dressed like a jackass in this?
And why has he got an orange nose, of which Jesse the Body Ventura keeps taking the piss out of
Oh,
him
Jesse lets him have it,
all the
and
time?
I mean, Jesse's hanging at the beach shack at the start with the ladies. Did you get that bit?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
He comes. The bit that it started for me was when you had Missy Hyatt and Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff is staring at Missy Hyatt when she's talking, like he's just undressing her with his eyes, and that he just wants to like do whatever with her. He's just enamored by her, basically standing next to her. And then yeah, it got to the Beach Babes where you had Jesse the Body Ventura walking down to the ring with four of them, and he says something like, we'll come down here now for the show, and then we can get back to whatever it was we were doing before we started this. And I won't tell you what it was we were doing, something to that effect.
Oh, they were having a blast, weren't they?
Oh, mate, and to be honest, let me say quickly as well, the set was amazing. The set absolutely incredible. Sand as far as the eye could see, deck chairs, beach balls. You know what I mean? Shacks, palm trees, the lot. Great, amazing.
They open this show on, you know, on the network with TV title match. It's Ron Simmons against Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Simmons, former world champion the year before, beat Vader, lost it back to Vader. You know, he's clearly a stud. He's, you know, they retired his jersey at the University of Florida State. He's, you know, he's a big time player. And, you know, he's wrestling for the TV title. I'm not sure I get it. I'm not, you know, Mr. Wonderful. I've got some questions about Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
For me, he's quintessentially 80s.
Yep.
That's not a bad thing because we love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But he's in a really prominent role in mid 1993 in a big company, and I'm not sure I quite understand it.
I mean,
I
they
mean, yeah, he
even
gets good heat,
they were
but
still pushing him, bro. They were still pushing him into 95, 96, bro. Orndorff was still in WCW 95, 96 when they had him. They had the guy from, because he was a bit down on his luck. The storyline was he was down on
oh
his
yeah,
luck.
the geezer from the hotline or
The
something.
geezer from the psychic hotline with the big
Oh boy,
white afro thing, and he said to him, "Oh, you know, you're wonderful and all this." And then he had that they call him Mr. Wonderful, that new song and all that. And then the Four Horsemen, because of um, what happened with Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman was giving it all that about Orndorff, and then you know he said, "Oh, I respect you, Flair. I respect you," blah. And they ended up, you know, smashing, pile driving him on the concrete, mashing up his neck. And this was '96, dude. So they're still pushing
yeah.
Orndorff, and you know Orndorff had a couple of matches, which makes me think late '95, early '96. He didn't look comfortable in the ring. He didn't look like he was 100%, and I think he already had injuries to his neck and whatever, because he had one match. I can't remember who it was. It was a squash, and he just didn't look comfortable. He didn't look happy. And yeah, or like you say, Orndorff, quintessentially 80s. We're coming in early 90s. Things are changing. And yeah, like you say, they're still giving him that push.
Well, you think he's prominent in Survivor Series in, you know, from episode one. Shout out to episode one.
Yeah, yeah.
He's in the main event of episode one, which is 1987. You took
6 years
this
away
6
from
years
this. Yeah.
later. It's a lot. And television champion, I think there's better uses, but that's by the by. It's a very disjointed match. It's not great. It's not, you know, it's a little bit hit and miss. And then WCW, the rule that inflamed everyone at the time, Simmons gets DQ'd for throwing Orndorff over the top rope.
Yeah.
What an awful way to end it.
And let me just say, it is not the last shit finish that you will see on this pay-per-view either, because it's not. There's a few. Out of the matches that I've seen, there was at least 3 shit finishes, or disappointing finishes, shall I say?
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely get to them. That over the top rule DQ. It's like it was really inconsistent.
Yeah.
They weren't using it in every match. It was like, but they used it to end this one, and it wasn't great. It was just, it was a maybe it was probably better that they kept it off of your VHS.
It was that good. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, we'll skip on now. Two Cold Scorpio and Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Bagwell looks like a star. Not quite there in the ring yet. Looks great. Him and Too Cold come out and they're dancing. Too Cold looks very comfortable with the dancing. Bagwell does not. I don't.
He's not an American male yet, bro. He's not an
No,
American
he's
male yet.
not.
Allow him. He's not
They're
got to that
wearing.
pinnacle yet.
They take on the. Not sure if they had a name. They were referred to as the Texans. It was or the Texicans. It was Tex Slazenger
Yeah.
and Shanghai Pierce, who
Okay.
would become the Godwins
Yeah.
in '95, I think it is,
Yeah.
in the WWF, and they came out to the most ridiculous cowboy music. I mean, I don't think I could convey over a video how silly this music was. It was like it was really bad, but again, makes you laugh, makes you chuckle, and brings me to my first. It's the first cheap pop of the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Bagwell shouts Biloxi at the top of his lungs to get a big cheer.
Nice,
Um,
dude. That's how you do it, man.
I was impressed. I was like, the two guys were Slazenger and Pierce were shouting Texas and throwing up the horns and stuff and doing all that, and then out of nowhere, Bagwell shouts Biloxi. Like I was like, wow,
Good
where did
work.
that come from?
Good work, man. Great work.
Um, there's only one star in this show and in this match, and it's Scorpio. Um, there is a moment that's a bit dangerous. He gets a backdrop, which he almost gets backdropped into the ropes. Like it's a little bit
Okay.
squirmy. Has an excellent drop kick. Always did have
I love
one.
Too Cold, man. I love Too Cold. Great talent. Could have been pushed a bit more wherever he was. I thought WWF didn't really use him. I didn't like the whole Flash Funk
Yeah.
thing going on, but a phenomenal athlete. In ECW he had some bloody cracking matches. He was in ECW, wasn't he? A tag team champion with Sandman at one point.
Possibly. I
They had Woman.
my ECW recollections aren't as brilliant as yours.
Yeah, they had
but
Woman as a valet. Or no, was it Woman? No, it wasn't. It was Missy Hyatt. They had Missy Hyatt as a valet, and I tell you what it was. It was because I watched it recently. I've got right by me. I've got a pile of these VHSs and DVDs that I've been watching recently. And on an ECW one Matter of Respect '96. So you've got Missy Hyatt at this time, 1993, blonde hair, proper curly.
Oh, she's put together.
By the time it gets to '96, mate, she looks like an absolute state. Like it is in 3 years' time. Matter of Respect '96, where you've got a three-way dance for the ECW title, and you had the Sandman with Missy Hyatt and Too Cold Scorpio. So they came down to the ring with him, and yeah, she looked like a bit of a tramp then. And that's
I don't
96.
know the story of Missy that well. Obviously we know that she's here in WCW in '93.
Yeah.
I don't know where it fell off for her. I don't know what happened. I'm sure that she's got shoot interviews out there.
She
but
aged in that 3 years. I'm telling you, from '93 to '96. Jesus, it looks like a different woman. Telling you, crazy. Watch if you can. Is there any ECW on the network? Old ECW.
Yes.
Yes, all of them.
There's a lot. I couldn't
I
tell
haven't
you.
looked, man. I haven't looked. Have a look
Stuff.
if Matter of Respect '96 is on there. If not, I've got the DVD and the VHS.
We'll
So
check
I'll
that
lend you.
out.
Yeah. Um, check it out. It is, I would say, one of the most nuts. Is one of the most nuts ECW events you will ever watch. You've got Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards coming down as the Blue Boy. So Blue Meanie is like Shawn Michaels, and he comes down with
Oh,
these like, it's incredible, dude. It's absolutely incredible. He comes down with like the Shawn Michaels zip off trouser things, and Stevie Richards like takes off he takes in like denim like denim like Daisy Dukes, and he like takes them off, and he's like spinning them around, and he keeps letting them go into the crowd. He's like, no, and he's like has to grab them and put them back on and everything. It is, this whole event is absolutely incredible, absolutely nuts. It's incredible. Matter of Respect 96. Just a quick veering off because we're talking about Missy Hyatt. She's in it, but really great ECW event. Watch that, guys, as well if you can. It is just absolutely, and because you've got Sabu versus Rob Van Dam, you got Shane Douglas versus Too Cold Scorpio, you got Chris Jericho versus Mikey Whipwreck. You've got incredible matches on there, absolutely incredible matches. So yeah, Matter of Respect 96. Sorry, but yeah, Missy Hyatt, different woman from 93 to 96. Boy, trust me.
back to Too Cold.
Too Cold, yeah.
He lands the biggest, like just a standard splash from the top rope, and gets a 2 count. Like this could have easily finished the match. It could have been brilliant, but then a couple of seconds later, he does the 450, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
It's you know the Godwins or the future Godwins looked all right. They obviously they get a bit of a bigger break in the WWF. I'm not going to count Naked Midian or nothing like that, but
No.
the future Godwins look okay, and they probably should have deserved a bit better here in WCW when there wasn't that many teams around. Missy, back to Missy. She has a quick interview with Orndorff and the Equalizer.
Okay.
Yeah, Orndorff calls himself the John Wayne of professional wrestling.
Okay.
Not
Why
really
is that?
sure what
Because
that
he's got
means.
like 20 pounds of impacted feces inside him, or
I'm not sure.
apparently
I really,
John Wayne died with a load of impacted feces in him still.
I'm really not sure why he decides to call himself the John Wayne of professional wrestling. And he also has the cheek to call Steamboat old man.
Okay.
He was calling out Ricky Steamboat. He calls him old man like a couple of times and saying he's got grey hair and all this. And it's like, come on, like, this isn't the promo for you, man.
No, man. If anything, he's the old man.
It's we got another like this could have been a dark match for all I know. It probably should have been. Eric Watts, whose dad is no longer in charge of the company.
Yeah.
You always felt he was going to lose whoever he was up
Yeah.
against one of our favourites, Lord Steven Regal.
One of the greatest talents in wrestling history, Steven Regal. 100%. 100%.
With Sir William.
Okay.
And it's Jesse has what, it's not many Jesse quips in here tonight or in this one. And he says, coming from the White Cliffs of Dover to the beach of Biloxi must be a come down.
Oh,
I
beautiful.
can imagine he's right.
Beautiful.
This match is pretty technical.
Yeah.
And it looks like Regal's just teaching him a good, valuable technical lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somehow, Watts gets Regal in the STF. Sir William comes up with the most hilarious slap, just slaps him in the face. Like, Watts chases after Sir William. Regal rolls him up, gets a win, holding the tights. That's it, done and dusted.
Of course he's holding the tights. Of course he is.
Yeah, he shouldn't need to. It's Eric Watts, but
got to keep that heel face up.
Yeah. Quick promo for Fall Brawl, which is coming in the September and War Games. No participants yet. They're just saying when it is.
Yeah.
Yes, he interviews Regal afterwards. Regal offers out Paul Orndorff. I don't know where they're going with all of this. Like, it seems really like mix and match. Like,
To be honest, there was a time, even up to '95, before pre NWO, WCW, and when just as Nitro started, they were still very like, you got matches like one week you had, um, someone was wrestling for the title one week, and then next week they'll just be wrestling some random like Macho Man Randy Savage, like, you know, every week he was just wrestling 3 times a week against, yeah. He was wrestling 3 times a week against like one for the title and then two nobodies really that was really going nowhere in the story. And it was like you say that sometimes they just were making these matches that didn't really um, make much
I
sense.
I just found it strange that Orndorff would call out Steamboat and possibly even start a feud. It's pay per view. It's technically live.
Yeah,
And then straight after that, Regal calls out Orndorff. It's like, well, who's feuding who here? Like,
yeah.
who's um, Regal then quotes Churchill and leaves, like, because every British person ever quotes Churchill.
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I'm surprised I didn't have Bulldog doing it in the main event, but did I did ask, but I'm not sure. I remember, did you have Max Payne and Johnny B. Bad in the next match?
That was the first match on the VHS. So yeah, the first match on the VHS was Max Payne with Norma Jean,
Norma Jean.
his guitar, um, and you had fucking Shivani, man. There's a there's a great bit. It's almost the last moment of this pay per view, which is absolute gold, and I won't spoil it yet, but it is involving Vader and Shivani, and it is just absolute gold. But Shivani,
I have this bit written
yeah,
down.
it's like he says something about, oh, he's probably going to get some. Hopefully, he'll get some sand in the circuit boards of that guitar and all that. And it's like, who's supposed to be the heel commentator and whatever?
Yeah,
It's I like Max Payne. I thought he was an actually really good worker, good
yeah,
wrestler,
absolutely.
good technical wrestler. He had some really good moves. He would do this suplex where he locks the arm, like a locked arm suplex thing. Looked really great. Um, really knew how to work with people. Um, Johnny B. Bad. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Max Payne comes down to the ring, legitimately playing the guitar. That
Yeah,
is not,
legitimately.
he's
Yeah, that's
legitimately playing the guitar. Um,
isn't a Van Hammer thing.
yeah, it's yeah. Let's not talk about the Beast either.
Not yet.
Not yet. So yeah, I mean, legitimately playing the guitar. I think it's a great gimmick coming down with a guitar, playing it really well. I think it's great. He looked great. He was absolutely
I
huge.
just
But
find it weird that they would have him as a heel playing a guitar. Like, I understand that they let Elias talk and he would do his heelish things like all the time in the ring, but Max Payne wasn't talking a lot.
he wasn't hardly talking at all.
You can't figure out that he's a heel just by letting him play the guitar. That
And
doesn't
letting
work.
him wear a black t-shirt with
Yeah,
666 written on it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, um, he. I think they were going because I mean at this time, 1993. You still had people like Nirvana and that about, was it? There was kind of, and he was like the more heavier, darker metal maybe. So maybe they were just hoping that that would sell itself, um, possibly. And then you had like the antithesis of Max Payne in Johnny B. Bad and what my man was wearing.
are you referring
Whew.
to the mask or to the whole outfit?
Well, the whole lot really. The mask was stupid because what had happened before, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He,
backstory.
the backstory was because Johnny B. Bad used to come down with his little pump gun that would shoot out
Bad
the
blaster.
bad blaster, right? So the story was that Max Payne had smacked him in the face. Jesse Ventura said, "Yeah, he took his bad blaster and then gave it back to him in the worst way," and basically meant he smacked him in the face. So when he says, and that's why he's wearing a mask, so you think, right, okay, it's one of either two things. It's either a padded mask, right, to protect him, or it's to cover up like some crazy bruises or something like
Yeah.
that. The bloody mask has got eye holes like this and like a mouth hole like that, so it looks like a pair of underpants has just been pulled over his head. Um,
If they were cutting costs in
yeah,
WCW at this time,
unbelievable. They're
who knows?
spending like thousands of dollars on the bloody set, but they're scrimping on a mask for Johnny B. Bad. I mean, it's incredible.
Now, Mark Mero is clearly really charismatic. He's, doing everything he can to get this gimmick over. It was over to a point, Johnny B. Bad. It was, everyone knows, anyone who watches WCW at that point knows who he is. But he's hamstrung by this gimmick. Just let his own charisma do the work.
Well, I mean, he, you know what was funny? He's called Johnny B. Bad, which isn't a Little Richard song, but he looks like Little Richard, and that's the kind of gimmick. So even in the song, I've written down, in the song it says, he looks like Little Richard in his song. Yeah, we can see that he looks like Little Richard.
Yeah.
He's got the little tash and everything, the bloody hair, the lot. We know this. You don't need to sell it to us in the song. But yeah, I mean, I think he was trying too hard as well with it, personally. Um, but yeah, I mean, who do you prefer, Mark Mero?
Yeah, Mark Mero as himself was charismatic enough to carry. I mean, they didn't have to give him Johnny B. Bad. It was again, it was a time where cartoony characters were all the rage, and
To be fair, he was Johnny B. Bad in 93, even coming through 95, 96. He came a long way as a wrestler as well
yeah,
in the following years to this, because this match is for me a poor finish, a really poor finish. Um,
um, just a quick mention: the camera work is screwy as well because they miss a dive over the
yes,
top
they
rope.
do, dude. I've got
Funny.
that written as well. They miss a dive over the top rope, but I think that was a botch as well, because uh, Max Payne's on the floor up against the rail, and he hadn't even got up yet. And Johnny B. Bad, I don't know, we can't see the cap because due to the camera
Yeah,
work,
never
but
see him coming.
we never see him coming, and then literally you just see him just fly into the screen and just smash into him on the floor, and it's like, that was terrible. Where he jumped over the rope, but you couldn't see it. I've just got dumb written here, like cameraman dumb.
Oh,
Um,
I've sadly got not a great finish slash crossbody,
yeah,
flying crossbody, and that's it. And it's like
absolutely poor.
it's a little bit underwhelming.
And what
No,
it's not selling Max Payne either, because he can be beaten with a crossbody. He should have had to. Johnny B. Bad should have had to really been laying it in. Which is a shame. But I mean, Johnny B. Bad, Mark Mero, like I say, in the next few years past this, he had some absolutely fantastic matches. Really, really brilliant stuff coming up to the Nitro years. And on Nitro, he had some fantastic matches around 95, 96.
I'm just gonna add, like in episode one, we're not going to talk about it a lot, but we talk about how well crowds reacted to certain things, and up until this point in the show, I've got nothing. The fans don't seem to be that bothered.
Yeah,
It,
bit dead.
they don't seem to be that like. There's no massive pops. Nobody. The most over person so far is Jesse, and this all changes in the next match, but it's not a great crowd, and that can make a match seem way longer than it needs to. It just it
I
doesn't help.
think I think a lot of the matches seemed longer than they needed to be on this card, to be honest. Like I say, I wasn't overly. I like the pay per view. Beach Blast '93 had a lot of great faces.
Yeah,
People that I like to see wrestle. But it was just maybe the matches just weren't. Like I say, there's one match that really stood out to me, and it is the match after the Max Payne Johnny B. Bad match following this one. So yeah, you said about the finish in this one. It was who won. It was obviously Johnny B. Bad.
yeah, I can't imagine Max Payne doing many flying crossbodies,
No,
but yeah, it's not a great finish, and it's a shame because they missed that dive from Johnny B. Bad, and like it's just
yeah,
it just seemed like they messed up a few bits here and there, and but we move on. We move on to the tag title match. Hollywood Blondes going in as champions against Arn Anderson and Paul Roman from the Horsemen.
yeah,
Now, Horsemen are going to get a great reaction anywhere they go in this time in this area, and poor Paul Roman looks a little uncomfortable in the entrance.
yeah. You can see
Anderson knows, yeah, he knows he's playing babyface tonight. He's doing what he can.
yeah.
Roma looks a little bit confused.
You can see him chatting. You can see, and this is one of my points that I've got written down here as well. What one of my notes it just says, "What a match," because I thought it was an absolute fantastic match, but it is a little bit confusing because you've got two of the four horsemen, possibly the biggest heel faction in wrestling, at
Yeah, going
some
in as
time,
babyface.
going up against the Hollywood Blondes, who out-heeled the four horsemen, or two of the horsemen. And that is to Pillman and Stunning Steve Austin's credit, really.
Stunning Steve,
Stunning
yes.
Steve, baby. I mean, I love the Hollywood Blondes. I mean, I love the Four Horsemen, um, and the different iterations that they've had over the years. But I absolutely love the Hollywood Blondes, man. You can't knock them as a tag team. They
There's
worked
there's a bit
phenomenal in this
there's a
match.
bit early on in this match where Pillman, after Austin takes a punch,
He kisses him.
rolls up to he kisses him,
Yeah,
and the fans hate it.
it's so
Absolutely hate
good. I've got that
it.
on here as well.
It's clearly a different time in Mississippi. They absolutely despise a man kissing another man.
But that's what got the crowd heated as well, dude,
Yeah,
because it was outside of the ring, right? Like he's checking his face and he's like, "Oh man," and he just grabs it and just kisses his head, like where he got punched on the face. Oh, dude,
it's
that was
incredible.
absolute gold from Pillman. And
They
I've
would have
got,
known how to get that heat as well.
but in the beginning of the match, right? They're before anything's all started, you've got Roma and you've got Arn Anderson in the ring, and then you've got Steve Austin's in the ring and he's doing bits around, and Pillman's just looking at the crowd, trying to pick someone out, right? And
Trying
he
to
and
pick
he,
his
he
mark.
finds
Yeah,
someone, yeah, trying to find the mark, and he finds him, yeah, and he gets out to the ring, and then but you can kind of see him say to Steve, "I'm going out here," right? And then he jumps off the apron, goes straight to this guy in the crowd, and just starts getting in his face and shouting, and then the guy in the crowd's going, "Four horsemen, baby! Four horsemen,
yeah. The
baby!"
geezer in the hat.
Yeah, it's so yeah, the guy with the hat and the little moustache and that, and then Stone Cold Steve
Yeah,
Austin, well, Stunning Steve, gets out and he's like holding him back, because he's going to attack the crowd, and it was probably 5 minutes before they did any wrestling.
any
It
work.
was
It
just
was
building up that,
incredible.
you know, unbelievable. Like I say, the Hollywood Blondes, probably one of my favourite tag teams of all time. Um, they worked absolutely amazingly in this match together. That the wrestling side of it was just a heel masterclass of
Well, it's funny. It's in my notes. It says vicious heel technician, stunning
unbelievable.
Steve Austin
Yep.
is a thing of beauty. It's excellent.
Even little things like he would tag Pillman in, but still have his foot and his leg on the
Yeah,
head of the person in the ring, and then give the
really
tag and
good.
still be dragging his shin across his head and stuff. It just honestly, anyone who is a
It's the
wrestler,
little touches.
it's them little touches, and it is an absolute heel masterclass. This match. If anyone's a worker and wrestling right now, watch this match: Pillman and Stunning Steve Austin. Absolutely
Don't get me
incredible.
wrong. On as the veteran face, I think is brilliant.
Yep,
I think Arn does really well here.
he
Obviously
sells
he's done
great.
it, done this 1,000 times before.
Yeah,
He knows exactly what he's doing. He's really good at this. I don't know about you, but I've got Pillman down as the workhorse in this match.
Pillman. Pillman is the workhorse. He puts himself about a bit, but I think Austin's still up there with him as well. I think it was fairly even, but there was a few. Yeah, I suppose Pillman did. I mean, Pillman always gives 110%, really. Um, if you look at the life of Pillman, and you look, we could probably do these episodes where we actually break down the life of these guys. Like, Pillman shouldn't have really ever been a wrestler. Um, he wasn't a massive guy. He had physical problems. I swear he had like throat cancer as a child. He had problems with his lungs and his breathing. Um,
But
he
this was a
shouldn't
guy
have.
who played the NFL as well. He
He
had,
played the
you
NFL,
know,
mashed up his ankle. At one point his ankle had fused, so he couldn't actually move the joint in his ankle, so it was fused in one way, and he was still wrestling. One of my favourite Pillman matches of all time is actually Pillman versus Goldust in
okay, we're going to 1997.
in
Yeah,
WWF, not long before he actually died. It was to do with Marlena and all that
yeah,
kind of
that's
thing.
right.
Um, Absolutely great angle, where they had Pillman wearing the dress, where they had whoever lost would have to wear the dress. And at the end of the match, you just had Pillman looking absolutely enraged with his crazy curly hair, but he had like gold face paint all over his face where Goldust had kissed him during
Yeah,
the match, and he was just absolutely enraged. And he saw because the next night on Raw he had to wear the dress or whatever, and he saw that
yeah,
they
that's right.
brought the dress down on a little dummy and that. And at the end of the match, he was like going crazy and like punching the just phenomenal character. He should never have
Great
really
talent.
been a
Yeah,
wrestler,
absolutely.
but he just Pillman just incredible. Yes. Sorry, we wax
No, that's
lyrical
cool. No,
when we
if
love
he's in
stuff.
this match, it's
You
he
know,
takes an amazing DDT from Arn.
oh mate,
Yeah,
it's just
just folds
phenomenal,
up like a chair, doesn't he? It's
brilliant. And but this is the key in wrestling. You sell it to make the other person look good, so then when you beat them, you look better.
yeah,
So it's like, even if you know you're gonna win, just crushing someone doesn't really do a lot, but what it does do, if you're gonna, you build them up and then you take them down. And that's what the Hollywood Blondes were absolutely phenomenal from the moment they walk down the aisle. And they're giving it that, and they're, even Stone Cold does it. Stone Cold, Stunning Steve, um he does a thing where he's like lying on his belly. He does a brilliant move, and you've got Arn Anderson lying in the ring. He's lying on his belly, right in his face, just doing
yeah.
that.
Oh,
It's just
that.
absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I love him. I could talk
And
all day about the
Austin
Hollywood Blondes.
Austin goes over the top rope, no DQ. Like,
Yeah, but then you've got Jesse the Body saying no, he didn't. He sent himself over or something like that. He was trying
I,
to sell it like.
yeah, I'm not sure why that they were making it so difficult for fans to follow at this point. You know, if you're over the top, it should be done, or
When did they fit?
in
When did they
'92 they
phase that
banned.
out?
What's that?
When did they phase that out? What year? It must have been soon, like 94, 95. They phased it out.
But I mean, this is WCW where in '92 they banned people, or '91, '92 they banned them from coming off the top rope.
Yes, I remember.
The
Yes, that's
Watch
right.
era, yeah.
Yep, yep,
So
yep, yep.
um, Roma, Paul Roma again. We've not really spoke about Paul Roma like today. We spoke about him last week.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Paul Roma. I thought he should have done more in the WWF. Again, he looks really good. He's in good. He's in always in tip top condition. He's really good worker in the ring, and he does his job really well. And he he rolls up Austin. Pillman clotheslines Roma. Austin takes him over the other way for a pin. It's again just four excellent workers, and there's not much more that we can say about how great this match was.
No, the fact that Austin as well, even at one point, he mocks them by laying someone out and then does some push-ups in
Yeah,
in the ring while
it does.
while the guy's lying down. Look at and you got Jess. Look at the condition of these guys. Look at Austin. Just absolutely phenomenal. And one thing I did notice about Romy, he did this backslide pin with Austin, and he nearly broke his neck going
But,
down.
yeah, the arms were wrong.
Yes, the arms were wrong.
Yeah, he had it the wrong way round. But
We'll
it
allow
was
him. It's fine. It's just little
just
things that you
yeah.
notice, and I just write them on my notes, and I go, oh yeah. Um, so, and also, like you say, the Pillman kissing Austin after because he goes to the referee. Oh, it was a closed fist. It was a closed fist, and then he's there inspecting his face, looking at his eye, and then he just gives him a kiss. It is absolute heel gold. Absolute gold.
Have you seen any of Brian Pillman Jr.'s work?
I have not. Should I?
I mean, that's a star in the making
Okay.
for sure. He's really he's picked it up. He's you know really good worker. I'm half expecting to see him on one of those two big shows.
What
Yeah,
was
the
the
next like
story? What was the
year to
story
18
about
months.
Pillman's ex-wife or Pillman's son's mum? Was there a story where they broke up or something, or and she was trying to get loads of money or something? I swear there's a story there with something to do with her. I'm not sure
Not something I've heard of, to be honest.
because she maybe she tried to sue WWF or something, or they had a night where it was like a benefit night to raise money for the kid, and basically she ended up taking the money and the kid didn't get anything, something like that. um because she starred in the Angle. Yeah, I swear it's something like that. Like she wasn't very nice. She was an alcoholic or a drinker or something, and she was trying to get the money from the benefits or something, and the son didn't see any of it. Because she was in that Angle was like the gun in the house Angle. Do you remember?
Yeah,
Was it Pillman's got a gun?
yeah, that's right. And he drops an F bomb live on TV.
Whose house was he going to? Stone Cold's.
Stone Cold was coming to Pillman's house.
That's right. That's right. I remember.
I don't know any of the story you just brought up about any sort of like spouses or anything like that. I'm not.
There's some. I swear there's some kind of backstory there. Look into it, guys. I will look into it as well, and we will add more at a later date. But I'm pretty certain because I mean I
I'm
know
pretty sure there'll
Jordan.
be a show about Pillman.
I mean we should do a show about Pillman. He absolutely phenomenal. But myself and Jordan, we are both huge fans of shoot interviews. We've listened to quite a few, and it is a great insight into what's going behind the scenes because you know the dirt sheets and things like that in wrestling have been around for however long. But the shoot interviews, it's nice to piece things together and see stuff going on behind the scenes really.
90% of the time, it's genuine in a shoot interview.
Yeah.
It's not just someone trying to work everyone with their
And always everyone's
funny
always
story.
got a different side to the same story because there's these certain stories that involve a few different people. Like for example, um, the story of the Colonel Rob. What's his name?
Parker.
The Colonel Rob Parker. He tells a story of the famous story of when the Nasty Boys apparently, or one of the Nasty Boys, because one of them was passed out, nearly killed Ken Shamrock, and
Yeah,
was going to throw him out of a hotel third story window. And then so you hear Colonel Rob Parker. There's a guy that's been doing shoot interviews for a little while, but not for a long time, called Hannibal in Canada. Have you heard of the guy?
no.
He's done quite a few shoot interviews with quite a few people. He's got a really good one with uh what's his name? The guy who was in TNA but he was in Ring of Honor for ages. Uh, uh his name is like a star sign. Oh, what's it? Oh, blimey, oh, my memory's getting terrible. I'm only like 37. Uh, he's a like short guy though, and Cornette don't like him.
That could be anyone.
It could be anyone. It could be anyone. But anyway, he's got a really good.
Let's be honest, Cornette probably hates us, and he doesn't even know us yet.
It's true. It's true. um, yeah, he's got a really good interview with him. And the name will come to me. But the Hannibal, yeah, the Hannibal did one with Colonel Robert Parker about that night and asked him, what happened. But then he also had one with one of the Nasty Boys and saying his side of the story. And there's also one with Ken Shamrock, um, where they ask him, what happened, and the way Rob Parker says about, oh, Shamrock's head, he says his real name's Vinny something, and he's like, yeah, Vinny's head was like that. I've never seen a human man's head that big, and he was going to die. His brain had swelled up or whatever, and it's just good. Shoot interviews are good to, hear the different sides of things that are going on, and I think there's a few good ones about Pillman, things that Pillman's done, people that were friendly with Pillman. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin said a few things on his podcast about it. So, yeah.
We'll have to find some of our best shoot interviews and put those out on an episode if that works for anyone. If people like to hear about what we've got to say about
Billy
that,
Jack Hayes, man. Billy Jack Hayes. Dudes, anyone watching this right now, after you've watched this and after you've watched Beach Blast 93, because obviously you're going to want to watch Beach Blast 93 after you've listened to this, please just go on YouTube and just type in Billy Jack Hayes shoot interview. Please, you won't regret it.
you really won't regret it. I promise you.
Won't regret it. It is absolute. He talks about so many different things that have gone on in wrestling and outside of wrestling as well. He's lived a life, like, he says he used to sell drugs and he used to be a bodyguard for the Clintons. Also, this guy is next level, man. Like, it is, yeah.
Let's be honest, if you bodyguarded for the Clintons, you know stuff.
You know stuff, man. He said he worked for him in Arkansas, and yeah, well worth a watch. But anyway, I digress from from that basically.
Iron Man challenge for the vacant US title.
Oh, so hold on. So who won the match?
Austin and Pillman.
They did. Let's just recap that. Austin and Pillman won the match. It wasn't a bad finish, I thought. And they did the Healy thing as well. As soon as they won, they jumped straight out of the ring, cuddling each other. They were gone. Heel Masterclass 101. Brian Pillman stunning Steve Austin.
Iron Man challenge. Vacant US title. Rick Rude, Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
They'd had a few couple of matches beforehand. Rude had to vacate because he didn't participate at Starrcade or something, or other. He had an injury. Rhodes won a tournament to win that vacant title, and then they battled to a draw later on like a worldwide or a Saturday night or something. And it got to this point. Rude had already done an Iron Man challenge the year before at Beach Blast 92 with Ricky Steamboat.
And let me just stop you there, my friend, for which I have the VHS right here.
Let's hope Ted hasn't screwed you on this one.
No, you know what? I'm starting to believe that he probably has, because this is 123 minutes.
Oh, boy.
Just as well, this Beach Blast 92 has a great match, Cactus Jack versus Sting. And I tell you what, I actually spoke with Mick Foley on Twitter about this very match, and he said it was one of his favourites because I shouted him out for the amount he basically gave his body to Sting on this pay-per-view. We will do this pay-per-view, Beach Blast 92, and yes, it has the Iron Man challenge match, Ricky Steamboat and Ravishing Rick Rude. So there we go. Yes.
But Rude and Rhodes. I mean, for me, this is a slow starter. Like I know they're going 30 minutes. It you know it's a slow start, and there's they starting off with a few rest holds and stalling and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. Like I understand 30 minutes. You got to pace it. You got to keep it going. Like keep everything at a level. One thing I noticed as well, Rude has his fans in the arena this night. Not everybody's behind Rhodes. Like,
No.
yeah, they don't sweeten the sounds or anything like they would on a TV show,
No.
on a syndicated TV show or something like that. Like, there are fans in the crowd for Rude on this one.
They're loud as well.
Yeah.
Well,
10 minutes go by
Yeah.
with no score, and I'm losing. I'm not enjoying it as much as I should.
I'm the same. I said on my notes as well. Very slow start. One thing that was funny at the beginning of the match, you had Missy Hyatt talking to Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff says, "Two men, 30 minutes, Iron Man match. Missy Hyatt, what are your thoughts?" And she's like, she gives it the classic bimbo. "Oh, two men, 30 minutes? That's like a dream."
Oh boy.
Yeah, dude. Could you be any more of a skank? Sorry, Missy Hyatt. I'm sure we've
We
seen
love
you.
you, Missy.
We've seen you in the business, for years and years, and we appreciate what you've done and that, But it's just you've got to laugh. I had to laugh when I heard that. It was like because she was quite cardboard. I felt in this. She wasn't very
Yeah, they
loose.
didn't give her a lot in this show. It was
No.
a few quips and a few bits. It was something to, I suppose, just fill a few extra seconds of
She
time.
seemed quite nervous, I feel, in this. She looked quite
Okay.
nervous, but yeah. I mean, we like Missy Hyatt. She makes us laugh, The Riot Missy Hyatt. Big up yourself, love.
Uh, Rude goes one up with a rude awakening. This move always gets me.
Yep.
It's always been a devastating move. Rude is at this point, Rude is starting to work his arse off a bit in the match.
Yeah.
He's pushing the pace. Him and Rhodes are pushing on a little bit more. And yeah, Rude goes one up, and you feel like the match is kicking on a bit, and then they go back to rest holds.
Yeah. One thing that disappointed me, dude, as well. So they're starting to build it up a little bit. They're building it up a little bit. Rick Rude hits the Rude Awakening, gets the pinfall, goes up into the corner, comes off the corner with like an elbow drop or maybe just a punch to the forehead or whatever. They do a count, right? And it really annoys me when referees do this. It's like they don't trust the person to kick out or whatever. But they do a stalled, like they go 1, 2, no, you know what I mean? And it's like the stalled 2 count. It annoys me. Stop
Yes,
it.
he picks up on this at one point. I can't remember which match it is.
I think it might be this one where he goes, "That was a slow count," and he says,
Yeah.
"I hope we've got the adjudicators watching this." He said, "What was it?" At one point, he said, "Oh, I think we've even got some people watching this for that last count or something."
The famous championship committee.
That's the championship committee. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dustin hits a bulldog. Rude ducks down for not any real reason. I think he's ducking punches.
Yeah.
And he ducks down way too early. Rhodes gets the bulldog, makes it 1-1.
With
This is
3 minutes to go.
3 minutes. And you think these last 3 minutes could be, really, really something. We've seen it in other Iron Man matches where the last 5-10 minutes have been extra special. They're really going all out. Doesn't really go that way. And it ends 1-1 and the fans crap all over it.
It was a horrible finish. Just before that, so there's a couple of great bits in the match. Rude kicks out of a pile driver, right?
The reverse tombstone.
Huh?
The one where I think you're talking about the tombstone.
Yes, where they do the reversal. So
Reverse it,
yeah,
yeah,
he picks the natural up to do one, and then he ends up going backwards, and then he tombstones him. Yeah,
really
and he
well done.
kicks out of it. And Jesse the Body Ventura is talking to Tony Schiavone, and he's like, Tony, don't ignore me, Tony. He says, don't ignore me, or I'll knuckle your head. It's just something that I picked up on was really funny. Um, and Ravishing Rick Rude snots on.
Yeah, he does it a couple of
He
times.
does it a couple of times. One when they're on the floor and he's got him in like some kind of lying down headlock kind of thing, and he kind of just goes like that, and some snot comes out. And then
Yeah,
they're doing it while they're stand. He does it when they're standing up or running or something. And Jesse Ventura calls it the farmer's handkerchief.
yeah,
Because he goes, yeah, they do that in the field when they haven't got a handkerchief. They just, and I thought that was just really funny. I was cracking up when, you know, I thought that was really great. But then, yeah, like you say, and then it goes on to the second pin, Rhodes with a bulldog. Um, Ravishing Rick Rude as well. Incredible at selling. Um, Dustin Rhodes hits him with quite a heavy looking elbow, and the way that Rude, when he gets the elbow there and his legs just go up in the air, that sells that impact, like it's just shivered through him. Just absolutely fantastic. Ravishing Rick Rude, one of the top workers, And another thing that was in this match that was just, no, you shouldn't have done it, was Ravishing Rick Rude obviously does his
his wiggle.
gyrations, yeah, and then but you had bloody Dustin Rhodes doing it as well, like
Yeah,
and it was
the
just
Dusty Rhodes
creepy, like this slightly chubby guy.
wasn't great, was
It
it?
wasn't good. Oh, and the
Yeah,
finish.
the fans crapped on the ending, rightly so. Yeah, they should have had a champion that night. Decisive finish.
What were they trying to build up then? So what would have
I
happened?
I honestly don't remember what happens next because I haven't watched ahead. I I should have really done that already, but again, we'll leave it down to whoever wrote it, and
Yeah,
at the end of the pay per view, you find out who wrote it. So
yeah,
we'll leave that as a surprise for everyone.
yeah,
Um, Next, we have NWA World Title champion Barry Windham going in against Nature Boy.
yeah,
Um, Something I noticed straight at the beginning, pretty early on, is that Barry's carrying a knee injury, not in, not doing his best work. He's like you can see him grimacing every now and again when he's having to get up off the mat and stuff. And it something I looked up on later on after the match myself is this was the last time we see Barry Windham in the ring for a year.
really.
Yeah, he would go and have double knee surgery.
So that's
And
obviously why they took the strap off him.
yeah,
Um, there was a lot of build up to this match, and there was a lot of brawling between the two.
yeah, on a Clash of the Champions, and I think WCW Saturday Night again.
Yeah,
They seem to just explode like whenever they were in the same area, and that I mean it sold the match really well. It, um, I've got here that it was quite methodical to start with, and it might have been just a case of protecting Wyndham's knee,
yeah.
just taking things at a nice pace. I don't know why I put this in my notes, but Ric Flair's hair, feathered and majestic.
Oh, his hair was absolutely
It,
fantastic. You're correct. Yep, it was. It was the bouffant. It was absolutely beautiful. It
so
was.
impressive.
It was impressive, man. It
It
was
was
like a plume of.
it
It was
was
beautiful.
it was before White Goodman ever graced our screens with his beautiful hairdo in dodgeball. It was Flair's hair.
It was. Flair worked his arse off this match as well.
Yeah.
He really did work his arse off this match.
Um, I'm going to say this for anyone watching, anyone who's decided to watch Beach Blast and all that. There is no easy way to take a chop. We've both taken them. there's not an easy way to take those on the
No,
chest.
no,
They
they
hurt.
hurt. They hurt. You can split a man in two with a few good chops. You
Oh,
throw someone in the corner and you give them a few good chops across the chest, and you will cut someone open. You will. There's no good way to take a chop. Um, and you know what? If I ever met Ric Flair, I would ask him to chop me. I would regret it the second his hand met my chest, but my heart would
yeah.
probably stop. But just to see Flair in front of me, chopping me and wooing, is something that is the thing of dreams.
This looks to me as though this is that Ric Flair with something to prove still. He gets let go or he asked to leave the WWF because Vince tells Rick that he's not going to be main eventing anymore.
That's correct, in '92, and he was only in WWF for one WrestleMania, um, and that was pretty much it. I don't even think he was in WWF for 1 year.
He ends it on Raw with Mr. Perfect in January.
And you know what's funny? WWF Hasbro released a Ric Flair figure, but they rushed to get it out so much that they actually used the Ravishing Rick Rude body,
Yeah.
and it was a really poor quality figure.
Neither figure is actually that good, to
No,
be
the
fair.
Rick Rude figure is pants, and the Ric Flair.
Hasbro fans will know that. They're not. It's not a great figure of Rick Rude.
No,
With all the options they could have picked, they picked those for Flair and Rude, and it's disappointing.
it is. I mean, Rick Rude's figure has got quite a good move where he's got one arm like that, and then the other one you can pull the other way, so it's like holding him in a headlock, and you can punch him in the head. It's
Yeah.
quite a good move, but the figure doesn't feel great. I've got it in my cabinet here. I would get it out, but I'd probably knock all
Shout
the
out
other
to the
ones down.
Hasbro collectors,
You know.
you know,
Um,
and shout out to all the Galoob collectors as well.
Yeah, we
Talking
also
about stuff.
100%, man. We collect. There's a. I'll tell you what. One show we will show off a few bits that we're very proud of in our collection. As you can see, I've got a few bits behind me. I love to collect sticker books.
As you say this, I've already messaged Chris about this today. This turned up in the post. It is a WCW annual, and I haven't read through it properly yet, but I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, and I've got it on an absolute steal on eBay for just under £5. I
Great
mean,
stuff. Great
yeah,
stuff. We will do a podcast where we get out all of our bits and bobs and we show you a few of our prized possessions. I'll show you the cabinet, a few bits. George's got some really lovely figures. Um, so yeah, shout out all the Hasbro collectors, all the Galoob collectors, all the Toy Biz collectors. I've got a load of Toy Biz.
Toy Bin, LJN.
The Flip and Grips from WCW. They're really innovative with their figures. They had the Flip and Grips. They had the Beach Blast figures that could actually squirt water. They had loads of great stuff. Lovely.
We've gone off again, but we're talking about toys and stuff, so it doesn't really matter. Uh, Flair tries to pick up the pace in this match,
Yes.
which is tough because it looks like Barry's knee is
Struggling.
giving him the grief. And it looks like they rushed to finish this.
It was a botched finish. It was a very disappointing finish because what happened was, I love Ric Flair. I think he's absolutely fantastic, great talent, great worker, and once he started to want to go for that knee. He started trying to work the knee, and Wyndham blocked the figure four a few times. But I just love it when Flair grabs the leg and sweeps the other leg and then hooks it and then does the turn, gets him into the figure four. Absolutely fantastic.
It just felt like he was rushing to get it done.
Yeah. And
And
go on.
yeah, it looked a little bit messy, but the fans went nuts on the. It was a 3 count finish.
Yeah, but the problem I had with it was Barry Windham he was in the figure four and he had his back on the canvas and he had his hands like this, yeah, and he was he was lying back on the canvas with his hands in front, and before it got to 3, he pulled his hands together and slightly lifted up, but the referee
The
still
referee
counted the
called,
3 and said, right, no, that's it. And it was like I got a bit of a Montreal screw job kind of vibe to it. I don't know what it was. It
I
was
mean,
like
I haven't heard anything to say that that was, but Wyndham didn't seem to be
he
that bothered.
no. I think maybe he thought that he was going to kick out of it once and then go back and then he was going to get counted.
Maybe
Maybe,
pass out there, like
yeah, maybe there was just a little miscalculation. But I mean, the end of the match comes, and to see Ric
fans
Flair
love it.
there, your crowd went ape. See Ric Flair there kissing the
It
belt,
was the belt that we all associate Flair with.
because it was 9 times before this. This was the 10th time.
Yeah. Still got a few more runs in him here, haven't we?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I put here that Wyndham's not seen again until Slamboree '94, which means he takes a big chunk of time off to try and get healthy and get a bit better. And afterwards, I've just put here generic Flair interview. It's Flair, he's shouting, he says he's back, he's this, that, and the
Yep.
other.
Styling and profiling.
Yeah,
Whether you're a baby, whether you're an infant, whether you're an adolescent, he goes, it is a classic generic Flair interview. Fantastic.
it isn't a bad thing.
No, loved it.
But that's just what I've got in the notes as generic Flair interview. He doesn't say anything that, like, strikes you as different,
No.
or it's just Flair going wild. He's champion again. He's
Yeah.
enjoying himself. He's going great guns. He feels like himself. Clearly feels he's back on top of the mountain, and he's proving to himself that he can still go, and he's not as old as other people in the World Wrestling Federation might have suggested.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a 2 fingers to Vinnie Mac.
Quite possibly.
Because Jesse the Body Ventura had come directly from WWF, correct?
He had a fair bit of time off, didn't
Doing
he?
movies and stuff. He did, yeah. And then he was playing the same kind of role on commentary that he was for
Yeah.
WWF. Yeah.
I did put in the notes that they just didn't click, him and Tony, like not as well as Jesse and Gorilla, but
Yeah.
Jesse does good work, and
I'm
so does Tony.
I'm not a fan of Tony Schiavone personally,
Oh, okay.
and I'll tell you for why. Not necessarily for what he does on the camera, but from what I know he does behind the camera, or what he did do behind the camera. Because, as we've said before in episode 1, and it will come up in episode 2, and probably 3, 4, 5, 6 ad nauseum, Heenan is God, okay? So anything that comes out of that man's mouth is holy scripture, all right? So Bobby the Brain Heenan, when he speaks of Tony Schiavone, we know that Schiavone wasn't too nice to Heenan. And what he used to do, he used to hold information back. So if you're imagine you're all acting on EastEnders, and someone tells you has a bit of the script that you don't have, it's one of them things where it's to put you on the back foot, and it's to make you look shit, and it's to make you not look as good, where really they're supposed to be working as a team. They're supposed to be all working together to make the product great. And what Schiavone used to do was kind of get information and not tell them, and then hold these things and drop them when it was live on the air and stuff like that. And Heenan has said about it a few times, rest in peace Heenan. So my personal view of Tony Schiavone has been muddied and sullied due to the speakings of God. So Heenan has spoken, and he told me the truth of Tony Schiavone. So I hold a bit of a grudge with Tony Schiavone. I don't know what it is. I actually liked. I mean, I speak badly of Mongo, but I actually don't mind the team of Mongo, Eric Bischoff, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. I thought they were quite good on Nitro, really. But Heenan brought that together. Bischoff has always been great, I think, on commentary. What are your thoughts on Eric Bischoff and whatnot.
Bishop on commentary didn't like, I didn't seem to have a problem with it or love it too much. I I don't enjoy the I didn't enjoy the Mongo Heenan Bischoff trio. It didn't seem to gel for me. Like I enjoyed more of the Shivani Tanay Zabisco slash Heenan run.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They those three, because they switched at the top of an hour, didn't they? Like Zabisco and Heenan would switch, and it was it seemed to go a lot, like seemed to really flow. Like I don't have a problem with Tony Schiavone. I think he's done a
He's done
brilliant
great
job
stuff.
for
He's been around.
many
I
years.
actually um, I like a lot of the pay-per-views where you had Tony Schiavone, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes,
Yeah,
and Bobby the Brain Heenan. I thought that was quite a nice little threesome there, um, because you'd have the American Dream just saying these crazy words and crazy sayings and stuff, and you'd have then Bobby the Brain mocking him. But then oftentimes you would get the American Dream saying, Bobby Heenan as being, one of the greatest managers in the world, and he would give Heenan his props, even though he was selling it that he didn't like him. When the time
that's the
come,
how to get it over.
yeah, he would get it. He would get him over, And I like I say, there's a few good pay-per-views where it was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Tony Schiavone, and Bobby the Brain Heenan that I thought they worked really well together. And there was some of them. There was the War Games pay-per-views where they had the three rings, and you had
That was World War III
World
with
War Three, where you had a different commentary team on each
oh
thing. So on
the
one of them
ring.
you had
Ooh.
Mike Tenay and the American Dream, and then you had Tony Schiavone and Heenan on another, and then you had another guy that was just a hype guy. He was like Chris something. He was hyped. He was in World War Three. He was quite good. But yeah, that was quite confusing. And you had Larry Zabisco. Yeah, it was Larry Zabisco and this other guy, and then you had American Dream and someone else. It was nuts, nuts.
Main event time.
Sorry.
Masters of the Powerbomb.
Yes.
Just before this, Bischoff and Missy again, they steal about 5 seconds of our time, saying, and Missy predicts that Vader and Sid are going to win.
Yeah.
No reason. She just says that they're going to win.
She says,
Um,
"I can't wait to see Vader and Sid do over Sting and Davy Boy." There's words to that effect, if I remember
yeah.
correctly.
um, the first thing I noticed, Sid is jacked. He is absolutely huge in this.
You gotta love Sid, man.
Yeah,
I mean, we're fans of Sid. We like Sid. And he is money. You look at him, he's money.
he's huge and he's over like hell. This is one of the biggest main events that WCW will put on for a little while. Like until Hogan turns up in 1994, this is the most like the biggest bit of star power they've got, and it's a huge tag team match. It's really impressive like characters in the ring, and yeah, Sid stands out at the beginning. Like, don't get me wrong, later on in the match, like there are other standouts because I really enjoyed this.
I thought it was quite a good match. I did. I felt a bit gypped. I don't know why. I love Davey Boy Smith, and I like Sting, but I really wanted to see Vader and Sid win this one. Um, it
Well,
Vader was the heavyweight champion at this time. Um, and I like Vader. He was just oof,
yeah,
oof, oof,
I
giving
mean,
it the
I like the booking of it.
great.
Someone needed to be seen as a challenger for Vader in the next Clash of Champions or whatever it was.
Yeah,
So they needed a credible challenger, and to get to the next one, and it was going to be Bulldog again after they had a match at Slamboree. I think it was a count out or a DQ. So they need to make sure that Bulldog looked like he could do something with Vader.
yeah,
Um, the beginning of this match, Sid bumps like mad for Sting.
yeah.
Like I'm I'm confused as to Sid's massive, but obviously he's getting Sting over and Sting's doing his stuff, and then Sid choke slams Sting and the place goes nuts.
Sid, yeah, but Sid doesn't just choke slam Sting, right? He does
One
it
hand,
literally. What you know, he does it one-handed, and he doesn't even support. He literally, I mean, Sting obviously has popped for him a bit, but it just looks absolute gold. It is just some of the bumps in this match are incredible. Like you're saying, Sid, he does his thing where he gets punched and he gets rocked into the ropes, and then he does the thing where he fails in the ropes, but he's sitting on the middle rope and leaned over the top,
yeah.
and he's like bouncing, waiting for someone to come and hit him again, so he can. Just great stuff, great stuff.
I just yeah, I he's bumping like crazy for Sting, and then he choke slams him, and the place just loves it.
Yep.
And it's just Sid, again, missed opportunities
I mean,
for Sid.
let's not forget as well how ripped to shreds Davy Boy Smith is as well. Um, when Sting and Davy Boy come out, I mean, Davy Boy Smith was never a really tall guy, I don't think, but he was just wide as anything,
Yeah,
just and he looked $1 million, man. He looked at absolute $1 million. He had the the extensions, the French braids, with the beads on the end, absolutely ripped, golden legs, absolutely massive, costumes always on point, just absolute looked $1 million in this man.
star power. Yeah. Jesse calls Vader a big gorilla, and
Yep.
I don't see where it was going. Like he's a big gorilla. Like that's it. Okay. Cheers,
Okay.
Jeff.
Yep.
You um, the pop for the suplex
When Davy Boy holds him up,
that
holds Vader
lifts up
up,
Vader. Yeah.
brilliant.
Like, again, it shows everything. It shows like the strength of Dave. It shows the balance of Vader.
Yeah.
Like just, and this is something I put like with Vader. Sometimes it looks so effortless
Yeah.
with him. Like I know people are obviously bumping for him and stuff, but some of these, like one of the clotheslines he hits with Sting is like it just looks like he's not even trying, and it looks incredible.
I think Vader works really well in this match as well, especially coming up to the finish of the match. Um, I mean, we'll move on in it, but he hits this move that a big guy like Vader shouldn't really be hitting, but it looks good, man, and he pulls it off. It's great.
It's four guys who are all totally over with the fans, totally believable. Like
Yeah,
everyone loves them. They love Sting. Like I've got that in here. Like they pop for if Sting was to sneeze in this match, I'm sure he'd get a ton of cheers. Like, and there was Vader chants as well.
yeah, there
I
was.
noticed
Yeah,
that like on the
who's the
on the show.
man?
Yeah,
Who's the
the
man?
group there's definitely a larger group than normal, just chanting Vader, 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 and it's like
I think the commentary even sells it. He says there's a huge group of Vader fans because also Harley Race and Colonel Rob Parker came down with Sid
yeah,
and
you can't
Vader.
forget those two.
Harley Race gets involved, takes a couple bumps.
Hard
Um,
still bumping, yeah.
yeah,
1993, still taking bumps. I think
it's
is
good,
mad.
man. But yeah, even the commentary says, oh, there's a huge amount of Vader fans right behind where Harley Race and that was, right by ringside. Um, it was, um, it was a good match. It was,
Yeah,
there was a
we
lot of good little sets going on. Um, but there was one. Can I say there was one ridiculous thing that it just I watched it and I laughed. And I'm sorry, Davy Boy Smith, but he gets hit with the Vader bomb in the
he
corner,
starts like twitching all over the place,
and
doesn't
he
he?
looks like he's being electric shocked. Where he's like lying on the, and he starts like jellyfishing it on the floor
Yeah,
after the Vader bomb, and it's just. That was the only thing that I watched, and it wasn't very realistic. But other than
this
that,
the bit this actually brings you to the next bit, which is the moonsault. Vader, he's a massive man,
yep,
and he's moonsaulting with such, it's you know it. it's never going to look like a gymnastics graceful backflip or anything, but he moonsaults and he lands on Davey safely, and
Yep, he does it a little bit sideways, doesn't he? That's all.
yeah,
He flips a little bit sideways rather than going straight back. He's kind of looking where he's going. But the geezer's
he's a massive
he's
guy.
400 pounds or whatever, you know what I mean? And he's busting a moonsault. You know, he did at least he didn't do a Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and
Yeah,
land on his freaking head,
yeah.
you know, and then have to blimmin' do the rest of the match with a bloody nose and a broken neck, you know?
It's yeah, a really good moonsault. Sting flies into the ring to break up the pin,
Yeah,
like, and then it's a crucifix that wins the match.
yeah,
Just a standard crucifix from Bulldog.
yeah,
Manages to get Vader over 3 count. Again, big win, which I think pushes Davey into another title match. Clash of the Champions, the next clash.
yeah.
It, it keeps their feud fresh for another go, and I see why they did it. They're not pushing Sting to, main event with Vader again for a little while. I think the original plan was for Sid to take on Vader at Starcade
Okay.
at the end of the year, but him and Arn get into it with the stabbing, with the scissors and stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Over here in the UK. Um, so they were obviously putting Sid and Vader together to break them up at some point. For Sid to go, as the main challenger. But yeah, Davey gets the win. It doesn't completely end the show because there is something hilarious afterwards.
Yeah. It's funny that we both caught the same thing, yeah. And it's funny as well. Coming up to the end of it, Jesse the Body Ventura says to Shivani, "Hey, I've just clicked why you've got your nose," because he's mocking him constantly because he's got this orange suntan lotion on his nose through the whole event. And he turns around and he says, "Oh, I finally worked out why you've got this orange paint on your nose." He says, "It's because you're a fan of the Stinger, innit?" And he says, "Well, maybe that might be." But yeah, get to the light. It's funny that we both noticed this as well, and it's literally the final moments of the pay-per-view. It's
It's
great.
like Vader and Sid have lost. Vader's angry. He's scowling. He's charging around the ring, and he rolls up behind Jesse and Tony and takes a swipe at Tony for
He
some
hits
reason.
him. He hits him, and the look on Tony Schiavone's face is like he's just shit his pants.
I'm not sure if Tony knew that was coming or not, but Vader just like takes a swipe at him with his giant bare paw. Just
It's so good.
Tony standing there, Jesse sitting there like with a grin on his face.
It's so good. And he's like,
Like, and
"Yeah, whatever you say." He's like, "Whatever you say." Siobhan's like, "Yeah, whatever you say, man. You're the man. You're the man. Whatever you say." Because like Vader's just picking up chairs, throwing them. But like you say, with that giant paw, you just see him just crack him on the back. Oh, it's phenomenal stuff. Good stuff.
and that's how they end it. That's how they end the show with Vader taking a swipe at a commentator who probably didn't deserve it.
No, he didn't, but we
Heel,
enjoyed it.
heel 101.
Yeah, it was great. Good
Do
end
you
to
get
it.
the credits on the VHS?
Yeah, you get the credits.
So we get to tell everyone who wrote this stuff. Senior producer Virgil Runnels, the American Dream, baby.
The American Dream, that's the road. I just love the whole thing of they called Virgil. So the guy who was the $1 Million Man's valet, Virgil, who everyone knows as Virgil, was named Virgil as a rib named after Dusty Rhodes, whose real name is Virgil. So then he comes into WCW, and then Jordan, what do they call him when he comes into WCW?
Hilariously enough, they call him Vincent.
They call him Vincent as a rib after Vincent K. McMahon. So that every time I hear the name Virgil, I always think of Dusty Rhodes or whatever. But yes,
Did you ever
it,
hear the
it was.
incredible story of how Vincent or Virgil or whatever you want to call him snaked his way into the job at WCW?
Uh, Roughly, yeah. Go on, go. Please,
Well,
please enlighten people.
the job and the money, the good money, was offered to Charles Wright, who was Papa Shango, Godfather. One of the He was Karma. You know,
Karma.
he was
Yeah.
the enforcer in the nation.
Yeah.
Offered him a lot of money, good amount of money. Like he won't. Obviously, you can never guess the number, but I can imagine it was in the millions per year. And they said, "You're going to come and join the NWO. You're going to be the enforcer. You're going to be the big, yeah, the big guy that just does runs interference and stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, cool. When do I start?" Someone passes this info to the artist known as Virgil Vincent, and he says, "Well, I'll do it for way less than that."
Wow.
And Eric Bischoff says, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Wow.
Undercuts him and takes millions of dollars out of Charles Wright's pocket.
That's crazy. It's funny. You know who actually was paid a phenomenal amount of money in
No,
WCW? Tank Abbott.
Tank was paid a lot of money.
He was
Um,
paid more than Sting at one point. What this guy that I was talking about, Hannibal, yeah? Austin Aries was the guy that I was thinking of
oh,
before.
yeah,
So the Hannibal had a really good interview with Austin Aries, a recent one, because he left WWF or whatever in certain circumstances, and it's a really good interview going into, you know, what happened and this, that, and the other. But what the Hannibal did, he managed to obtain the pay sheet from WCW around,
it'd
you
have
know,
to be
I don't
99,
know,
2000, wouldn't it?
yeah, 99 or 2000 or whatever. So he's managed to be able to get that. And he had a shoot interview. He's had a couple with Tank Abbott. Um, and he said to him, look, you know, at one point you were paid more than Sting. And, you know, that's incredible the amount of money, you know, that was.
I mean, WCW had a real habit of paying a lot of money for people to not do any work, and that included, Lanny Poffo, uh, the guy, the artist formerly known as Nails. They brought him in for what, 2 shows?
Yeah, yeah.
They paid him a lot of money, to sit at home. Same with Lanny. Lanny got a lot of money to not work,
The
and
genius.
yeah, the genius. They could have stuck him on to do a few poems.
Yeah.
You
Give him a
know,
clipboard.
it's just how much money they flush down the toilet is just. I mean, that will come in our no doubt our podcast, which goes over the death of the whole company. But even around this time, I mean, Nails does his one appearance as the prisoner in the pay per view before. It's at Slamboree. He goes up against Sting, and you never see him again. But they paid him for years.
Yeah.
It's it's baffling. But it wasn't any it was any Ted's money. Nobody.
Millionaire Ted, you
It,
know?
yeah, it wasn't Eric's
Billionaire
money. It
Ted or
wasn't,
whatever.
and he had an open checkbook. It worked for him. It's yeah, which I mean brings me to one of the points in the credits. Executive producer Eric Bischoff. So I think he's only recently got this job at this point because Bill Watts and Kip Fry and
Hmm.
who was the one that nobody liked, Jim Herd, had
Yeah.
all had a go at it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it all fallen apart for him at one point or another. I mean, shout out to Jim Herd for coming up with the hunchbacks. They couldn't get pinned, apparently. Well,
you,
I mean,
oh, you gotta
who?
love wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why we like it. Like, you always get a great story like that. Yeah, Eric Bischoff is running the whole thing at this point, and he gets his slice of gold dust when he finally gets Hogan the next year. But I mean, he's there to cut costs, and it's I mean, it's not working yet, clearly, because they're still spending a lot of money on some talent. But it's not a bad show.
Not a bad show. You got to remember, this is 1993. You know, you got to remember this is 1993. I mean, to be honest, I think at this time WWF was clearly had a lot more going for it. I think, but um, you know, WWF had lost a few guys that you see in WCW around this time because you had, I think Sid obviously left to WWF after they killed a feud that he was supposed to have with Hogan.
Yeah, the WrestleMania 8. He was gone not long after that, I think.
Well, because he does it, he does an interview, another shoot interview, where he says, look, that they didn't like the fact that Sid was more over than Hogan. Hogan didn't like it, and he reckons Hogan killed it. He reckons Hogan said to Vince, can't do this and that, and obviously the crowd, they couldn't make the crowd dislike Sid over Hogan, and you was hearing
As much as
Sid
they
chants
tried,
over, you know, and
as
they
much as they
they
tried
killed
in
it.
like videos and that, like after the Royal Rumble when Sid eliminates or helps eliminate Hogan,
Yeah.
like they try and drown out the cheers and stuff for Sid and for Flair, and
Mm.
it's yeah, it's Sid is money. I mean, the other one, Rick Rude, if he was in the WWF in 1993, he's probably he's probably champion. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I know what they do. They do what they do with Yoko at this time, but Rude always was money.
Oh yeah, he's gold. Great worker, great charisma. He's money wherever he goes. You know.
And yeah, that brings us to the end of Beach Blast. I mean, it's uh, it's a lot of fun, and I definitely enjoyed watching it
Yeah, it's
again.
definitely it's definitely a transition period, because if you look at the WCW from 1990-91, and then you look at it in 1993, and then you look at it in 1996-97, you can see the transition of how they got from old school 1990s, late 80s, early 90s, and they're kind of transitioning it through, changing the talent up a little bit, making it a bit less cheesy, a little bit more kind of realistic. Um,
I
you
think
know,
the
it,
word they're
it
looking for is a lot less southern.
yeah, yeah.
Like people like Bobby Eaton and the Freebirds and all that are all phased out around this time.
Well, Bobby Eaton comes back with Steven Regal though, don't he? Lord Robert, or whatever they
Yeah.
called him,
Um,
Lord Eaton, or whatever.
the question I think that's on my mind, especially, and probably on anyone else's, is did you watch Money in the Bank?
I haven't yet. I shall watch it though.
Okay. Um,
But the thing is though, I do know who because there's a women's one in it as well. There was
they run at the same time. The men and the women's run at the same time. It's
right, okay.
very,
So
but
I'm a
what
fan of the person. I'm a fan of the person who won the women's one. A huge fan. I think she's money. I think she's absolutely fantastic. And she's done a lot of things that a lot of people haven't done as well. A lot of women haven't done. If you look at actually her achievements, um, I don't really. We don't do spoilers, shall we? Or
I can't imagine there's anyone out there that wouldn't have known the results by now.
okay, well, go for it. Go on, tell them.
Asuka wins the women's Money in the Bank. She only last night, what's today, Tuesday? Yeah, so last night on Raw, she is handed the women's title as well.
She's gold, absolute gold. Really, really like her.
Um, we also shout out to Becky and Seth. Congratulations.
Yep.
Um, congratulations on one part. Good luck on the other part because we both have kids and we both know how it can be.
Yeah. And us and our partners are not professional wrestlers, so I can imagine it will be extremely difficult at times. So yeah, congratulations and good luck to those guys.
I'm going to shout out John Pollock from Post Wrestling for the tweet that said, "Good luck to Seth Rollins when he finds out who the Wiggles are."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I
yeah,
know who they are, and
yeah,
God help me,
yeah.
it's a slog whenever they're on my TV.
To be honest, my boy, because he's like 9 now, he rarely watches it. Only when he goes round to me mum's. And then she's like, "Oh, should we stick the Wiggles on?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, go on then." They've still got,
Oh,
they've got a song called "Do the Propeller," and I thought that was when a man got his junk out and started swinging it around. But uh, am I wrong?
I mean, it's a kids show, so no, but it would have made better TV.
Oh, dude, it's funny actually because two of the Wiggles are married to each other. Did you know that?
They're not anymore. That's something I found as well.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
Lockie and the Gingerbird are married, but they're not married no more.
yeah, that's right.
All right.
I mean, it's a weird way to end a wrestling podcast.
Talking about the Wiggles. All
Yeah,
right. Well, let's not. Let's talk about the Twitter chat grapple pops. Get us on there. Obviously, we're on YouTube at the moment, and chat grapple and
I
cheat
was
pops
I was told
podcast.
by someone to do the like and subscribe bit. I'm still not comfortable with doing that. So
I will happily do that. Like and subscribe to this channel. You can see the little bell just down there or just down there. It will be a little bell, so just ding that and then ding it again, and you will be able to get all these updates and all that. Because we're just starting off. This is number 2. Um, Please watch our other video, which was the original Survivor Series from 1987. We did that last week. This one, obviously, Beach Blast 93, episode 2. We don't know what we're going to do next, do we, George? We have
we
no
don't.
idea.
We haven't even spoken about episode 3 yet. I'm sure it'll be something fun and something nostalgic as usual.
100%.
But no, if any, like, I mean, like I said, we're not exactly, you know, rolling in it with fans and subscribers yet. But if anyone does have any ideas watching this, what you want us to, review or watch again,
Yeah.
make it good, please. Make it good.
Yeah. Make it good.
I have no plans in watching, the some of those dire wrestling shows that have been on during the years. What was that one with where Jake the Snake cuts that promo about 21 and 22?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Heroes of Wrestling or whatever it was.
Heroes of
We're not
Wrestling.
watching
Yeah.
that. We're
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
watching.
Oh, dude, maybe we should review like a really bad show. Because there's been a few of those. That Heroes of Wrestling was one of them, weren't it? It was like a real bad flop, It had lots of things go wrong, and lots of non-wrestling people involved, and
I
yeah,
mean, yeah. I mean, we could watch some terrible ones, but we'd need a couple of weeks, I think.
yeah. I think let's get us into the swing of things. So, me and Jordan, we thank everybody for watching, for listening. We try and make it as entertaining as we possibly can, and we do go off on tangents, which I think is a good thing. I think if you stick too stringently to breaking down all the matches, because we don't want you to not want to watch this pay-per-view afterwards. We're having a chat about it and we've highlighted a few things, but we hope that makes you want to go, do you know what? I want to watch this now because I want to see Vader's moonsault. I want to see Ravishing Rick Rude give a farmer's handkerchief to Dustin Rhodes. I want to see these things. So this is why we give you an overview, but we do veer off and we talk about this, that, and the other, and bits and bobs outside of the event. But yeah, have you enjoyed it, Jordan? I thought it was quite good. Another
We've
good
had a
one.
lot of fun again. I'll remind everyone, go and watch some Brian Pillman
Yes, do it. What if
as
anything?
much as you can.
Please watch this tag team match from Beach Blast 93. Please watch it. It is a Hill 101, and that is what I'll leave it on. That was my favourite match of this pay per view anyway. The
And
tag
yeah,
team.
that'll be it. I would say thank you very much for watching, and thank you for anyone that subscribed or following, and we will hopefully see you next week.
Yep, take it easy. That's bye from me, bye from him, and we'll catch you on the other side.